This is episode 7 of I'm Just Older, Darling. Hello, kia ora, my love. My name's Michelle. I'm the host of I'm Just Older, Darling, a series of conversations with members of our communities, who are sometimes referred to as elders. Their stories, their words. This was recorded during the lockdown of COVID-19. This conversation experienced some network issues, shall we say. I hope you enjoy it. I think it's still audible. Apologies for some of the quality. This conversation is with Everall Deans. He's an elder in the Caribbean community and Rainbow community of Auckland. Hi, Everall.
Hi, my name's Everall Deans. I live in New Zealand. I was born in the UK. I was born in a small town in Staffordshire. I'm one of a family of 8. My parents came from the Caribbean, specifically Jamaica. My mother, St. Catherine, dad in Hanover. I've lived in New Zealand for over 25 years, and I have fortunately connected with other members of the Caribbean community in New Zealand, which has been very rewarding.
Really, this is about asking people how they feel about being older members of the community. So how do you feel when somebody says to you, oh, you're an elder of our community, and which community do you identify with the most?
Well, the first question, being an older member of the community, I don't actually, to be honest, Michelle, I don't really see myself as being old. I am. I mean, I'm in my 50s, but I can't actually recall anybody questioning me about being older. Obviously, I feel wiser, I suppose. You know, I have a lot of experience that I can impart to people. I've been obviously through a lot throughout the 50 years of my life, same as any other 50-year-old. So the stuff that I can share about stuff that, you know, I could have done better, or, you know, that I shouldn't have done.
Which communities do you believe?
Oh, yeah, which communities? So with regard to the community, I would say, obviously, I see myself as being first and foremost part of the Caribbean community. You know, my race has always been really important to me. I've done quite a lot of things to try and improve and enhance my own race. I'd also say that I'm part of the gay community as well, although I don't 100% identify with being gay, but certainly in the realm of the same-sex relationship queer community, then I do have a foot in that as well. And also the creative community, the Black creative community, I see that I have a place in that as well as a older generation.
Is there anything that you've done in the last 10 years that you just thought the younger version of yourself would admire, or you admire, or the vice versa?
In the last 10 years, my younger self, when I was younger, obviously, I had a lot more energy, vitality. I was very fearless. I think that I'm pretty fearless now, but obviously not as much as when I was younger. I mean, some of the stuff that I used to do, you know, jumping in the cars, drive to different places and get involved in different organizations away from where I worked, whereas now, you know, I tend to do things remotely. Also used to work quite a lot with lots of different people, whereas now I tend to do a lot more things, creative things by myself. Like I do a lot of writing, which is a kind of a solitary thing, really. Whereas when I was younger, I get more involved in group or team activities.
So during COVID-19, do you think technology has impacted you?
It has, because during the lockdown, I was stuck in Hastings, actually, on a paddock. And I did actually have an interview, a job interview, that was done through, not Zoom, it's the Google equivalent, Google Teams. And that was something new to me, because I know that a lot of people have had these video interviews for many years, but I'd never actually had one myself. But obviously, because of the social distancing, the fact that people couldn't travel, there was no other way of conducting the interview other than by video. And so that was something new to me, and I'm aware that a lot of people have been using that type of platform to communicate. I know the Caribbean community were doing it as a bit of a Lime meetup, and lots of friends were inviting me to connect with them as well, to do quizzes and to converse and all those sorts of things. So I've never seen technology used in that way before prior to COVID-19. So that, I suppose, did have a bit of an impact on my life in the technological sense. In what ways have COVID impacted me? I think I did spend a lot of time by myself because I was in a van. Although there were people around me, I had to occupy my own time, and I'm not the sort of person that will just sit there idle and just watch lots and lots of Netflix. Yes, I do watch a little bit of Netflix, but not, from dawn till dusk. So what I did, I made time to do stuff. I started doing a lot of exercising, actually. That was, focusing on my body and my mental well-being. I started doing a lot of reading, and I was looking at ways that I could learn new things, like I used to speak a little bit of French years ago, so I was looking at maybe refreshing my French, or even refreshing my Spanish, or even learning something completely new. I was looking at one of these Arabic languages. I know it's ridiculous, but I just thought it'd be quite interesting to just to test myself and see whether or not I could get into learning an Arabic language. So I did quite a lot of that, a lot of cycling. It was all about me and my health. A lot of people put on a lot of weight. I've since the lockdown ended, I've caught up with quite a lot of people, and they have put on weight, and they all complain about putting on weight. But it's been completely the opposite for me, Michelle. I've actually lost a lot of weight, and all of that I achieved during the lockdown because the focus was on me. I was able to stop and just focus on my own health.
How visible do you feel in your community?
Within my community, Michelle, I have to say that I think that I am very visible. I think with I'm involved with the Caribbean Society and also the Black Creatives, and I'm aware that a lot of people within the community are aware of me, because some people, as a result of me being part of these groups, have actually connected with me. Or if I start following them on social media, then they will follow me. I have had a little bit of exposure about some of my experiences and what I've done. So I think the community are aware that I exist, but probably not aware of the extent of the sort of creative work that I've done. I have tried to organize an event for the Black community, actually, but nothing really happened with that, which, I'm not quite sure. I sometimes think, Michelle, that, Black people are a little bit untrusting of each other. If they don't actually know you, then if you say that you're organizing something for them, then I think there's a lot of suspicion around you. Who is he, and why is he doing this, and what's his motivation, and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes I think that the community just can't accept that somebody is genuinely doing something to help you, and they don't want anything out of it. And I put that down to the fact that, they talk about slave mentality and the fact that they put us against each other, and that kind of thing has trickled down through the generation and have made a lot of Black people very suspicious. So I found it quite difficult to do work for the community because of that. That's what I put it down to, because I can't think of any other reason why, when you reach out to the community, sometimes they just don't reciprocate. Because it's the same as when I walk around Auckland. When I walk around Auckland and I see other Black people, a lot of them, I don't know what your experience has been, but a lot of them just look down on the ground. They don't even acknowledge me. And I've often spoken to other Blacks about it, and they've said that the same thing has happened to them. And I can't understand, if a white person is in Nigeria, for example, and you've got lots and lots of black faces all around you, and then in the distance you see one little lone white face walking towards you, and then as soon as the two of you pass, surely you would at least acknowledge them or say hello. You don't need to have a conversation. And it's the same in Auckland. You see another, because there's not many black people here, so if you see another one, then you'd at least say hello, but they don't do it. They've got their head to the ground. They just won't even look at you. And I always used to question, why do black people do that? And it's actually gotten to a point now where I see a black person, because I always say hello to another black person, but when they ignore me, I kind of feel a bit stupid. So now I don't actually make the effort to say hello to them. Maybe they're trying to say hello to me, and now they're thinking that I'm ignorant. I don't know.
I'm the person that I look like the nodding clown in the car, constantly nodding at black people, and some blank me.
Oh, really?
And some
Really?
don't. And I refuse to change my ways. I will always embrace anybody that I see,
Good.
that I recognise that sits in my group, and
Yes.
I will
Yes.
acknowledge them. And it's not, the onus is on them, not on me. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm
Yes. Yes.
acknowledging you. That's your choice, and that's my perception of it. Well, so who was the elder that had the biggest impact on you as a adult child? Yeah, or now who the people that
When I was
the
younger.
elders that you would say will have the biggest impact?
All right. See, when I was younger, I mean, things were quite different because in the way that you engage with elders, because basically you didn't treat them as friends. I find that a lot of young people now will converse with me as if I'm their friend. I'm talking about people in their 20s, 30s, whereas that didn't happen when I was younger. You knew your place. So most of the elders that I was around when I was younger, they were either in the church. Obviously, a lot of black people are in the church. Or, for example, in my family, on my dad's side, if you didn't go to church, then you had all your mates that you would be drinking buddies with. They'd turn up at the house drinking the rum or the whiskey. And again, you wouldn't really converse with them. So, and there weren't many black people on TV as well that you could, as role models that you could look up to. As you know, black people were seldom on TV back in the day. So there weren't a hell of a lot of blacks that I looked up to, thinking back, apart from musicians, really. But nowadays, God, I mean, I obviously admire people like Obama, being the first black president, his wife as well, Michelle Obama, what she's been doing. This whole Black Lives Matter thing, there's a lot of people that are emerging on the scene that I have never been aware of, that are doing so much, that are so influential. There's a lot of really cool people on the scene now, comedians. I can't remember their names. I follow a lot of people now on podcasts and lots of different platforms, but I can't remember their names. But there's so many people around now that you can tap into their knowledge and listen to what they have to say. They've got really important things that they have to say, and they really do inspire me, and I do look up to a lot of those people. But like I said, there's so many of them, I can't actually remember all of their names, but they're all saved in podcasts. In New Zealand, for example, there's a couple. There's one person that does a lot of academic work and did a lot of work around the racism in New Zealand. She published a report that was in the media. I actually really admire her, because it takes guts to do something like that in New Zealand, because nobody ever really touches on that side of stuff. I didn't actually think things like that happened in New Zealand. I didn't think the police called people, the N-word and all these really defamatory words until this report was made public. So that is the person that released it is a person that I really, really admire. And I admire any black academics, actually. Can't think of anybody else. Nobody else that just jumps to mind. Oh, and also Dione, I think she's done a great job with bringing the community together. She's done that really well. And a lot of the elders, that's right. There's also people that have lived in New Zealand. It's all coming to me now. People who have lived in New Zealand for many, many years and have been involved in associations that bring the community together. You know, Bernie is an example of that. He's been there for years. He knows a lot about the history of the Caribbean community in New Zealand, and he's still there. And he was the person that was responsible for bringing me into the society, because I didn't even know that it existed. And he was the one that told me about it and just kept, pushing me to come and join the society, which I eventually did. And I'm glad that I did, because, it's helped me to explore my Caribbean identity, because I didn't really do that years ago. But I feel a lot more Caribbean now that I've been exposed in this country, New Zealand, to the culture and the diverse range of people from the Caribbean. I really do feel like I'm part of a strong community as a result of being with the Caribbean Society and with the black creative things. Yes, they do have people from other countries like Africa, and again, I'm starting to explore my identity as a black, from my black African roots, which is something I've never really done when I lived in England, when I first came to New Zealand. So being part of these groups have really, really helped me in terms of, looking at my culture and my identity. Because a lot of people think, just because you're black, you automatically assume that, you've got an identity from Africa, your heritage in Africa, or strong thing with being Jamaican and all these things. And that hasn't really been the case with me, because, I've never been to Jamaica, I've never been to Africa. I grew up in Britain as part of the black British community, and that was what my identity was. Yes, I knew my parents came from the Caribbean, but it wasn't as strong. I would never walk around telling people I am Jamaican. It just didn't feel right, because I'd never been there. I was black British. That was my culture. But it's only as a result of being part of these groups in New Zealand that now I can look more broadly at my heritage. And I do honestly feel, it's all to me about the feeling. I feel now like I'm Jamaican. And I would never have said that years ago. I feel now more connected to Africa and African people. Not 100%, but I'm getting there the more that I spend time with people and explore different aspects of the culture. It's helping me to know my place, to find my place, because I think it's a lifelong journey. I think I've kind of deviated a little bit.
That was incredible. That was incredible. No, that was, wow. Do you know what I mean? I've got some, wow, that's a whole series in itself, mate, that we could go down. What sort of conversations would you have liked to have had with your elders that you wish that you're an elder, you'd like to expand on?
Well, I'd love to, as an older person now, I can actually appreciate what my parents, my mom and my dad did for us as kids. When you're young, you just don't realize at the time all the sacrifices that they make and all the hard work that they're doing. But as you get older and you reflect on your parents and what they used to do, and then you start to develop an appreciation of what they really did. And I do honestly think that, if my parents were alive now, that I would actually thank them or at least show them more of an appreciation of what they did for us, because we as kids, we're all really healthy. We're all together. We've got really good lives. And I think it's all due to the really good upbringing and encouragement that we got from our parents. And sadly, when we were younger, we never realized that, and so never really thanked our parents for that. We realize all of this when we're older and our parents sadly have gone. So if I could turn back the time, I would really say thank you and acknowledge all the stuff that my parents have done to them and to make them aware of that. So I would definitely say that's another thing I would say to young people is if your parents are still around, thank them and appreciate what they're doing. And if, like I said, thank them for it, because when you get older, you know, a lot of these people probably will not be alive and it'll be too late.
What advice would you give to a younger version of Everall?
I would say be very open. Be very, very open with regards to other people. Try not to look at the world in a binary sense, because you know, there is a sliding scale in many aspects of people's life, whether it's to do with their sexuality, whether it's to do with, you know, their career, their interest. You know, I just think that treat everybody, what I do is to treat everybody like a blank canvas. Try not to judge anybody at all. When somebody approaches you, they've got a clean slate, and let them get to learn them without any judgments. And yeah, I think just not judging people and being really kind is but then I suppose I've always been like that. I've always been like that. In terms of economically, I would, to the younger Everall, I would say just get yourself a house. You know, I mean, I had a lot of opportunities to buy property when I was younger, but you know, you kind of think, oh no, I've got plenty of years to do that. But you know, having a property has given me the freedom to live the life that I'm living now. But it could have been an even better life had I bought a property earlier. So that's one of the advices, the number one advice that I would give a younger, because the thing is, we need money, whether, you know, we decide to have a family or to be by ourselves. We still need money. We need some security. And so investing in property early in life is one of the things I think that will give you so much freedom in years to come. So that's the number one advice I'd give to a younger Everall.
And on that point, I'd like to say thank you for the conversation, Everall. It's been a pleasure. And Everall Deans is just older, darling.
Thank you, Michelle. It's been my pleasure too. I've enjoyed it.
I'm Michelle, your host. I'm Just Older, Darling. It's brought to you by Same But Black. There's a series of conversations with members of our community, sometimes referred to as elders, movers, shakers, doers, musicians. Based in West Auckland and wider New Zealand. Each person has an interesting story and a perspective of their life and how. That was the finale of season 1 of I'm Just Older, Darling. Thank you for listening. Thank you to all the people that took part in the conversations and supported me during this production. Season 2 is in production with a more international flavour. That was the end of season 1 of I'm Just Older, Darling. Thank you to Henderson and Massey, Creative Fun. Special shout out to Renee.